I think Gervonta Davis is probably the greatest fighter around now.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's so unusual.
Yeah.
His style's so unusual, and his patience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And makes him a guy that's one of the most complete fighters right now of all time.
In the unforgiving world of professional boxing, legends aren't born, they're forged in fire. But once in a generation, someone special emerges. Someone who defies the odds. Someone who changes the game.
Those big belts, and they had a big brass key ring about this big with 1,000 keys on it. But every key, they knew that key was for a certain door to get into the building. When he's moving around, I'm saying he's the super with that big key ring, and he's looking for the right key to get in the door.
You're great with the analogies. I love it. I love the analogies.
And he finds the right key.
He does.
He doesn't walk into a room and bang, oh my God, I shouldn't open that door. And a lot of guys do. Romero walked into that room. Garcia walked into that room, So he don't. And that's part of what separates him and makes him a guy that's one of the most complete fighters right now of all time.
The crowd falls silent. Across the ring stands a fighter with statistics that read like a horror story for his opponents. An unblemished record, a knockout rate that would make Mike Tyson proud, and the ability to turn off the lights faster than the arena's electrician. This isn't fiction. This is Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Baltimore, Maryland, November 7th, 1994. While the rest of the world went about its business, a future champion drew his first breath. Nobody knew it then, but that child would grow up to become the WBA lightweight champion, crafting a perfect symphony of destruction. 30 fights, 30 victories, 28 of them ending before the final bell. The streets of Baltimore have stories to tell, but none quite like this. At an age when most kids were learning their ABCs, 5-year-old Gervonta was learning his 1-2S at the Upton Boxing Center. This wasn't just any neighborhood gym. It was a sanctuary, a forge where raw talent met relentless determination. While other children played video games, young Davis was playing chess with his opponent's consciousness. 206 amateur victories didn't just happen. They were crafted, one punishing round at a time. 15 losses? Merely lessons that fueled the fire. At 18, when most of his peers were deciding on college majors, Davis made a decision that would alter the landscape of boxing. He turned professional. What followed wasn't just a series of fights. It was a systematic dismantling of every obstacle in his path. Then came 2017, the year the boxing world learned to fear the Tank. Jose Pedraza, the IBF super featherweight champion, was supposed to be the immovable object. Davis, he proved to be the unstoppable force. 7 rounds of masterful boxing culminated in a moment that would echo through boxing history. The crowning of boxing's youngest world champion. But this wasn't the end of the story. For Gervonta "Tank" Davis, it was merely the end of Chapter 1. The force of nature that emerged from the streets of Baltimore was just beginning to show the world what he was capable of. In boxing, moving up in weight is like walking a tightrope. One wrong step, and everything falls apart. Speed diminishes. Power fades. But Gervonta "Tank" Davis, he turned this dangerous dance into an art form. At super featherweight, 130 pounds of raw explosiveness, Davis was already a nightmare. Each punch carried fight-ending power. Each movement calculated destruction. But for a predator like Tank, one hunting ground wasn't enough. The lightweight division, at 135 pounds, was supposed to be different. Bigger men, stronger chins. Yet Davis didn't just survive. He thrived. His power, that devastating force that made opponents question their career choice, traveled with him. It wasn't just about the punch anymore. It was about the brain behind it. Every movement calculated, every strike precise. But Tank wasn't done. At super lightweight, 140 pounds, where most fighters would be out of their depth, Davis continued his reign of terror. 3 weight classes, same result. Opponents looking up at the lights, wondering what hit them. April 2023. The boxing world held its breath. Ryan Garcia, young, fast, fearless, stepped into the Tank's territory. 7 rounds later, a single body, shot wrote the final chapter. It wasn't just a knockout. It was an execution of perfect timing. Garcia, like many before him, learned the hard way. Speed meets power, power wins. Fast forward to June 2024. Frank Martin brought his speed and defensive mastery to the ring. 8 rounds later, he joined the growing list of Tank's victims. Another knockout, another demonstration that in Davis's world, defense crumbles against calculated aggression. This wasn't just about collecting belts anymore. With every weight class conquered, with every opponent dismantled, Davis was writing his name in boxing's history books. Not with ink, but with the echoes of his knockouts. 3 weight classes, same devastating results. This wasn't just fighting anymore. This was artistry through destruction. In a sport where moving up often means slowing down, Tank Davis didn't just maintain his power. He multiplied it. He wasn't just winning fights. He was redefining what's possible in boxing. 3 weight classes, 1 truth. Wherever Tank Davis goes, knockouts follow. What turns a fighter into a force of nature? In Gervonta Davis's case, it's a perfect storm of devastating power merged with tactical brilliance. His 93% knockout rate isn't just a statistic. It's a warning sign to anyone brave enough to step in the ring with him. The beauty in Davis's destruction lies not in chaos, but in calculation. Every knockout is a carefully orchestrated symphony of timing and precision. He doesn't hunt for highlights. He creates them through patience and cunning. Like a master chess player, Davis sees 3 moves ahead, laying traps that his opponents walk into willingly. When that moment comes, and it always does, 1 punch is all it takes to end the show. Raw power is common in boxing. What sets Davis apart is his prizefighter's intelligence. In a sport where split-second decisions determine destiny, his ring IQ shines like a beacon. He reads opponents like books, turning their strengths into weaknesses, their aggression into opportunity. His mastery of distance isn't just skill, it's artistry. He floats like smoke, impossible to grasp, only to materialize at the perfect moment to land the finishing blow. Baltimore streets taught Davis lessons no gym could provide. That hardened mentality, forged in adversity, shows in every fight. When others crack under pressure, he thrives in it. Personal struggles, legal battles. Nothing has broken his spirit. Inside the ring, this translates into unshakable confidence. No moment is too big, no opponent too dangerous. What makes Tank Davis truly formidable isn't any single attribute. It's the fusion of them all. Power that can end fights in an instant. Technical skills that would make purists smile. Ring intelligence that turns brawls into chess matches. And underlying it all, a mindset built to overcome any obstacle. This isn't just about being the hardest puncher or the smartest fighter. It's about being both simultaneously, while possessing the mental fortitude to execute under the brightest lights. That's the Tank Davis formula, a combination that has turned him into one of boxing's most feared forces and one of its most brilliant minds. In a sport where everyone hits hard, Davis hits different. In a game where everyone thinks they're the best, he proves it. This isn't just fighting. This is fighting elevated to an art form, with Davis as its most dangerous artist. Every great fighter faces the same challenge. Proving their greatness isn't just circumstance. For Gervonta Davis, despite his highlight reel of knockouts, the whispers of doubt persist in boxing's shadows. The criticism echoes through boxing's corridors. Teofimo Lopez voices what others whisper. Where are the battles with Devin Haney? The chess matches with Shakur Stevenson? The wars with Vasily Lomachenko? These names, technical masters, boxing virtuosos, remain unchecked on Tank's hit list. The question lingers. Is dominance real if the strongest tests remain untaken? Davis's camp fires back with cold logic. You can't fight ghosts. When your reputation precedes you like a warning sign, when your power makes matchmakers nervous, finding willing dance partners becomes its own challenge. Is it avoidance or wisdom that keeps some fighters at arm's length? December 2024 dropped a bombshell. Tank Davis, contemplating retirement before 2026. Not from injury, not from defeat, but from the exhaustion of boxing's political maze. At 30, with his prime years stretching before him like an open road, Davis speaks of family, of preservation, of walking away, while his faculties remain sharp. The boxing world holds its breath. Is this the calculated move of a fighter who's seen too many champions stay too long? Or a momentary expression of frustration? Millions of dollars, countless potential classics, all hanging in the balance of this decision. The immediate horizon. Before any farewell talks materialize, March 1st, 2025 looms large. Barclays Center, Brooklyn Davis defends his WBA lightweight crown against Lamont Roach. On paper, it's Davis's fight to lose. Roach, moving up in weight, brings skill but faces a mountain of disadvantages in power, speed, and big fight experience. As the clock ticks, the questions about Davis's legacy grow louder. Will he silence doubters by taking on the division's other kings? Or will he walk away, leaving boxing's what if file one chapter thicker? Whatever path he chooses, Tank Davis has already carved his name into boxing's consciousness. His knockouts don't just end fights. They create moments that live forever in highlight reels. Whether his career spans another decade or ends in its prime, one truth remains unchanged. When they talk about power in boxing, they'll always talk about Tank Davis. The legacy of the Tank. Gervonta Tank Davis stands as boxing's perfect storm. Devastating power married to brilliant fight IQ. From the streets of Baltimore to the brightest lights in boxing, his story isn't just about knockouts. It's about transforming raw talent into calculated destruction. Whether facing future challenges or stepping away early, Davis has already carved his name into boxing's history. Not just as a puncher, but as an artist who turned violence into science. Before we leave you, if you've enjoyed diving deep into Tank's journey, make sure you're part of our boxing family. Hit subscribe, tap that bell, and join us for more stories of boxing's most electrifying fighters. Until next time, keep those hands up